So, chatting with my choir director about some music that's getting picked for a big event we have coming. And it got me thinking about law and gospel, which, if you hear me talk about stuff, one of the things I really don't like is how we jargonize our theology as Lutherans. Now, you need to jargonize. You need terms that have meaning, that you rely on, a code language, a shorthand that you can all make sense of quickly. But the danger is that underneath that, a person can begin to use that language without really knowing what it means, and the language can begin to substitute the ideas, the actual meaning. And law and gospel is like that, because, I mean, even as I say it, what does it mean? And it probably means something different to a number of different people. It can be like a banner or a rallying cry for Lutheran thought, but how so? And the other video that I released from Sharper Iron that dealt with, Father Abraham had many sons, is sort of the same idea here. Is like, so, okay, we have the name Abraham, but what does that mean? What are we actually saying, or what are we teaching to the kids with that song? And so also, with law and gospel, how does the music that we sing or say convey the truth of both of those different words from God, different ultimate statements from God? The do, like you need to do this, that's the law, it's what ought to be done by you, and the done, the gospel, which is what God has done, is doing for you in Jesus, right? Past, present, and future. Now, what I want to share, what I'm thinking about, is a phrase, I've heard this phrase before, and I think I've not liked where it's used, but it's true when you're talking about law and gospel, which is that, like, you can teach the distinction between law and gospel, I just did, but understanding or applying it, having to be part of your worldview, is as much caught as it is taught. It's not just a matter of crossing T's and dotting I's. There is that too. It's not without that. But there's a feel to it, or there's a smell to it, right? Not actually scent, right? But there is in the way that it sounds. There's a flavor that you get out of law and gospel when it's rightly done, and when it's wrongly done. Actually, the flavor's stronger. When it's wrongly done, it just tastes terrible. At least to me. So, like, as I was discussing one of the pieces, which I thought was less valuable, less good. The question was, well, can we change a word here or there to make this better? And aside from copyright issues, which, I'm not as worried about myself, but I get it. It's a big deal for some people. The problem is, if there really is a theological problem with a piece of music, meaning not the music necessarily, but the words in the music, big bump, the problem is not going to be a single word. And if you think that you can fix a bad piece of hymnody by changing a single word, you're missing something, because the hymn very rarely doesn't say anything except for separate pieces that are just kind of strung together. The hymn usually has a direction, an entire thrust, and an entire goal. And that is often where the problem, the confusion of law and gospel comes, as you have the piece generally try to make the law into the gospel, or try to make the gospel, it makes the gospel the law in some way. The good news is the law, what you're supposed to do. And I'm working off the top of my head here, but one of the pieces, it started out pretty good. It was just quoting Matthew 28, go into all nations and baptize and teach. Okay, fine. It is a law statement, because it's what Jesus said to do, but ultimately it's teaching us to believe what he said, which is to teach the gospel. And it moved on to go into all nations and teach the gospel. It was like the next line, which is true. It's good. It's what we should do. The piece never actually told you what the gospel was. It started talking about how you need to go tell the story, you need to share the light of Christ, and next thing you know, it's you do this, you do this, you do this, all the way through, as if this is what it's all about, right? when what it's all about is the story, is the gospel, is the light of Christ, but none of that is you do it, nor you tell it. So if you're going to go tell it, someone's got to tell you, right? That's just an example, again, of how you can't change a word and fix that. It's a flavor, it's a direction, it's the opinion of the law, which is usually the case, not always, but because you do have antinomianism, hatred of the law, which becomes its own law. That does exist as a reality, but the opinion of the law is usually what's going to be going wrong in a piece of music, and it will try to make what you're supposed to do sound like the good news, or it will try to turn Jesus into a law for you. And that's why Lutherans care about law and gospel and don't want it to be gotten rid of, because we want to keep those things distinct. We want to distinguish what you're supposed to do because it's the right thing to do. Do it because it's good. Why do you hate doing good, you bad person, right? And you're like, yeah, I guess so. I guess I am. But that doesn't make it not good. And as a Christian, you still want to do it because it is good. Distinguishing that from the reality of what the story is. That Jesus of Nazareth has sufficiently paid for you by his death on the cross, bought the world by his death on the cross, regenerated you to love the law, but all the more to know the difference between that law and the work he's done on your behalf by grace alone. Yeah? Mercy alone. Green light, don't stop. Thanks for listening. Rock on.